Hello and welcome to again the Debonair Training short video tutorials, part of the learning data analytics solution we're producing with AI. It's a development course from scratch for developers, starting all the way from PHP and MySQL all the way to AI and machine learning and all the code you need to become a professional developer. Now, right now we are about in the middle section of it, and we are developing Moodle custom port using DML API and chart.js. Now, in developing this, we have come this far, and we are now in the what I would call the we are now in the third part of it. This development plan here. This is the development plan. We've already covered the Moodle metacode, copyright, package declaration, setting up, page and fetching data. We've gone through the getting unique records, categorizing scores, and sorting scores. We're now to the part where we table data, setting up the table data and the chart function. So that's the part we're on now, and we're going to, so we've already done all of this, we covered this now, so make sure you check the previous video. If you're one of our YouTube subscribers, or you just come across this video, make sure to like, comment below the parts you don't understand, and share and subscribe to our channel. If you are part of the development course, in other words, you're already registered and enrolled in Debonair Training, then the follow-up to this one that brought us here is the 5.4 development video, short video tutorial 5.4. That's the one that will lead you here, where we'll cover this. We would have done all of this. Now the next thing to do is to click on this button here that will take us to the displaying the table and charting tabs. So here we go. So step 3, table data and chart function, right? So 3a, displaying the table. So once again, let's get make sure we have, so all our code, this is where we stopped last time. So let's just make sure we're on the right place. So let's go back one, so we could see that is exactly where we stopped, right? So let's get that there, and then we can see we tally exactly what we want. There we are. So we got that there, we got that there. So we go now to go into the display table and chart tabs. Okay, so so 3a, that's where we want to be. So we are essentially going to write a function here. So the function display table, and so again, PHP, or the PHP we learned earlier on, comes in very handy. Function display table, and now we go into the parameters, records, and then title, and chart ID are the parameters that are needed here. Okay, so make sure to add those parameters and in your function, and open curly braces, and now we're going to start writing our function. So what we're going to do now is instead of typing it, we just copy what we got here. So global output, so that is available. So it's available global output. So put that in there. So it's a global variable. So that's there. Then we echo the title and in H2. So echo the title in H2. Just tidy that up. So that's there. And then we assigned new HTML table to the table variable. Okay, so we just copy that line of code and put that there. So new HTML underscore table is assigned to table. So we're creating a new HTML underscore table there. And we say if it's array records, if it's array, in other words, if the record, if we have the records as an array, then as argument, we HTML, the table head will be what is in this. This will be in the table head, which is an array. So we got ID, name, course, score, date, all in an array will now be assigned to the table head. So we say table dot head, table where you see the arrow there. That is equivalent to dot essentially. So table and the table data will now be so we're just really creating a table like in HTML, but doing it this way, which makes it much quicker and programmable that way. So the data for the table data, which is what is inside the table, apart from the head, will now be what's mapped here, array map function. So it's array underscore map, and in that one we put the function as the parameters function with parameters of record, which is the very same record. That's why we say if the record, if this variable is not an array, it won't work. If it's an array, then we now put here what's in the head, and the data for the table, which is now where we use the map function, and then this is the arguments of that function. We say if the record variable as record, okay, remember say just for records, but now this is record, not records. So if record check is not null, okay. So I remember we're doing map, we're mapping the function for record, yeah. So we're mapping this function. I will say if record. So first of all, we check that yes, indeed, as much as we are mapping the function, that we do have the variable $record. It's not null. And then if it's not null, we return the user ID, the name, the course, and the date properties of the record variable, $record variable, right? Else we return this, and this is all, and then this is all part of the record, okay. So remember, this is all part of a function which is if record here, if record, so if record else this, yeah. So that's that function. So we say table r, so this is the function here. So this, all of this is this record, user ID, name, everything is from this array records. Okay, so this is where we draw it from. And recall that so this essentially is PHP. We just really this array map function. This is how it works. It maps what is what to what, and it also is able to deal with when there are some empty arrays like this one. So, and then we echo HTML table. So let's copy all of that, and then we go through the explanation again. So here we go. Okay, so we got that one there, and then we say echo HTML writer table. Remember we've done the HTML underscore writer already API. So this is why one of the reasons we did it, so we can understand and use it as we're using it now. So tidy that up. This part of the function, no, that's not what it should be. Should be there. Okay, yeah. So that's the function we want. So this is the function, right? So in the A part of step 3 in the development above, okay, to return our scores in the categories of best, worst, and average scores, we declare a function display table with 3 parameters: records, title, and chart ID, right? Secondly, the global output is declared. This is an instance of Moodle's renderer class. Okay, thus providing methods to generate standard Moodle HTML elements like tables, headers, footers, which are contained from the Moodle renderer class. The heading of the table contains the title, which we do by concatenating title between h1 open close tags. So we're referring to this one here, h1. We're referring to this one here. Okay. Then table object is created and populated by the new HTML table. So that's this one here. Okay. So the table object is created here. An array of the column ID of the columns ID, name, course, score, and date are assigned to the head property of the table object. So the head property of the table object is the head property of the table object, which is here, which is really a table variable, and we've got it here. We got it in an array, all assigned there. I said, okay. Okay, so an array, sorry. So number 6 now, the data property of the table is assigned what's returned from the array map. This PHP function takes a callback function, the anonymous function here, function without a name. That's anonymous function means a function without a name, and an array of records. So it takes a callback function and an array of the record. It displays the callback to each element of the record, okay, and returns a new array containing the results. So that explains what just happened here. Okay, so this PHP function takes a callback function, the anonymous function here, and then it returns. It takes this callback and it also returns. It takes this callback and it As it says here, it takes a callback function, the anonymous function without a name, and an array of records. So this array of records is the other one it takes. It takes this, and it takes this callback function there. So and it applies the callback to each element of the record of records. So it applies the callback to each element of the record. So each element of this record, this applies to it. Okay. So each element of this record, this is how it maps it. It maps it by going through everything here and applying it. It goes through everything in the records and applies it as to how it applies here. So that's what that one is saying. Hopefully it's clear. If it's not, just read it over again and until it falls into place in your mind. For each record passed to it, which would be one student object from your records array, it extracts specific properties, user ID, name, course, score, and date, and returns them as a new array. Each of these new arrays becomes a row in your HTML table. That's exactly what this is saying. So for each record passed to it, okay, as it iterates through it, which would be one of the student objects from your records array, it extracts specific properties like user ID, name, course, score, date, and returns them in a new array. So it takes, for each time it goes through these records, for each array it goes through it applies it to all of these, maps it, and then returns a new array. Okay, that's what that is saying. Okay. Echo HTML underscore writer class table. So remember, this is a table. When you see two columns, that's a table. To render the table object into HTML code and then outputs it to the browser. So this is how it outputs it to the browser. Echo HTML writer using inside the table class and then captures this object and then publishes it. So that's that one. So now we're going to, if you do that and you run it, you should be able to see something, but we're not going to do it now. We want to actually go through the chart. Okay, so what we're going to do now is, first of all, let's just see what we got anyway. Let's see what we got. So, but we won't see anything yet because we have properly yet because we haven't done the languages directory, and we haven't created a class. Have we created a class yet? Or a version number for it, a version for it. No, we haven't got a version of PHP for it yet. So we'll leave that one for now, or maybe we should just create a version for it. So copy that and DML reporting, I'll paste it there because it should be standard in all HTML. Okay, we got that one there now, and we just quickly put that one DML reporting. Actually, the best thing to do would have been just use DML. Let's just see what it says there. Right, so okay, we copy all of that and go into, close this one and go into DML reporting version there, and we just paste it there, and we just change this to reporting, and then we change this to the date. right? So we leave that one like so, and that should work. So that should work for changes to DML reporting. Okay, so save all of this. Just save that one for now. This is DML report version. We leave that one out. This is the index. We save this one. And we also DML report. We also go to the lang and we just copy this directory and go that one there. And in DML reporting, we just paste it there. Okay. So once we got that there, pasting. Okay, so we got that there now. So let's see what it says. Okay, so what it is, we need to change this name because it has to be the same name as the directory. So change that one. Okay, so it's now DML reporting there. We're now using Moodle naming convention, and we change that to DML reporting there too. So once we got that there, change this to reporting. So once we got all of that there, we save it. And once we got that saved, we can now test it to see where we are. Probably give us an error. So let's copy that. New folder to the right. And we now put in reporting there. Yep, this page is not working. We got a 500 error. So that's because too many things are not in place. So we'll just leave that for now. What we're supposed to see is something like this. For now, we're supposed to see the data without the chart. So we're going to go through all of the code one by one and then find out why we're not seeing that yet. Okay, so we'll do that in a bit. Okay, so now it's 3b, displaying chart in different tabs using chart underscore render.js. So we're going to be using chart underscore render.js, which I would introduce you to. It's a separate file which we will be attaching or including rather to the index. But yeah, I'll have to, before we do that, I'll show you how we're going to get a chart in there and the code we'll be using to make it happen. So there'll also be chart.js, which we will download or reference using CDN. So these are ways we can get it in our code, in our development code. So displaying chart in different tabs using chart underscore render.js. So we have this echo canvas, echo then in quotes, canvas ID equals chart ID in double quotes, and then single quote chart ID. But what we're actually doing here, you see that there, that is how we can add chart ID to concatenate chart ID to inside the quotes using JavaScript. So here is JavaScript now. If you recall, we had our JavaScript mod course and lesson, which we went through earlier, much earlier in the beginning module to get started this development course. Excuse me. So then we got the width 400, height 200, and canvas. So this is essentially us creating the canvas, or rather echoing the canvas where it will be displayed. So we start with echo script, echo the script, then echo. So what we're doing here is just we are echoing the opening quote, single quote for this window for the JavaScript here, which will be closing later on. So we say window dot add event listener function, and inside that function, first parameter is dom content loaded, which is we are listening to see if the content has been loaded on the window object, and then we're calling the function the second parameter function. Okay, and then in the parameters of this, or the arguments of this function, we are saying render chart. We say chart ID. Remember, we have a chart ID here, and second parameter is array record. So we are checking again using if it's an array of if the array exists of records, and then we have the question mark. This is what we call the ternary operator. We have the question mark here, so it's like, let's say if it's an array, or it's a JSON encode. If it's not an array, then it's JSON encode array map function. You know, if this array does not exist record, then this JSON encode array map function record, you know, like so, should exist. The record name, return the record name. In other words, if it is a JSON encode, if it is not an array, then it should be a JSON encode array map function of the record to get the record name from the record, or JSON encode just get all the records like this. Okay, and that's everything that's needed here. So as for this particular ternary operator, you have to look it up in JavaScript. Let me just, before we just quickly do that, let me just go up to W3 schools. W3 schools. Ternary operator. So do that, and shorthand ternary operator. So right, this is the syntax that we just used exactly. So we're saying variable, the condition is it this or that, then or this expression, So as I say, there is also a shorthand if else, which is known as a ternary operator because it consists of three operands. It can be used to replace multiple lines of code with a single line. It is often used to replace simple if else statements. So that's exactly what we're doing here. Okay, so just thought I quickly give you an instance of what we're doing here. Because if you notice, the key things here is the question mark and then the colon. So we got that, or that. Okay. So we're going to copy all of this and you say echo script, echo the close script, else no records found. So that's essentially what we're doing there. Now we're going to, okay, so what we do is we copy this and we place it here. Okay, so got that there. We left out the last curly bracket there. Left out the last curly bracket there because we don't want to cause an error. So we leave that like that. Everything is looking good so far. But just remember, you've got one curly bracket there, okay? In the B of step 3 part of the development code, which is we say one echo canvas between echo here. Let's remove that one there. Between here and there. So between here and canvas, okay, between that canvas there and there, which is here, which is exactly here, okay. So the outputs HTML canvas element directly into the web page. This standard HTML5 element also needs to have the unique chart ID for each canvas per tab, and that's why that chart ID is necessary there. The echo script tag is inline JavaScript for the browser. So that here, that's why we put that there. And then Windows add event listener DOM content loaded, just like I explained. This is best practice in web development. It ensures that the JavaScript code inside the function is executed only after the entire HTML document has been completely loaded and parsed, i.e. the DOM, document object model. That's what DOM stands for, to just remind you, is ready. This is important because your JavaScript needs to find the canvas element by its ID, i.e. chart ID, and if the script runs before the HTML element exists, it will fail. Okay, so the render chart ID, which is here, right? That's what we're going to analyze now. This is the key, this is the core of the section. It's a function called to render chart. The function is defined in included file at the top of the file chart underscore render.js file. The chart ID, the first argument passed to render chart, is the unique ID of the canvas element. This tells the render chart function that which canvas to draw the chart on. The is array records question mark JSON encode array map, which is essentially here. Okay, this complex looking part is a PHP expression that dynamically generates the JSON string of the chart's label student's name. Let's break it down. Is array records got a question mark all the way to the end there. Is array records. So you're saying the arrays are records or they're not. And it's ABCD hub. This is a PHP ternary operator. it checks if record is actually an array. This is a good defensive programming practice to prevent errors if records is unexpectedly null it or not an array. Array map function return record name records. Now that's another one. Array return record name records inside there, right here. So what are we really trying to do here? Array and extracts the yes, array records. So this extracts the name property and returns the name. So array map record return record name record. The PHP function iterates over each record on the records array and extracts the name property, e.g. student names. It returns a new array of just the names. JSON encode. The PHP function takes a PHP array, the array of name generated by array map, and converts it into a valid JSON string. For example, Alice, Bob, Charlie. JSON string is then directly embedded into the JavaScript code. JSON encode, this towards the end. If the record is not an array, it provides an empty JSON array to prevent JavaScript errors. And then it says is array records JSON map function again, all over again. This is identical instructor to the labels part, but it extracts the score property from each record and generates JSON string for the chart's data values, student score. So the first part was a student name, and the identical one, the second one, was a student scores. Okay, so that's why it was done that way. Note, if you were not rendering the tab, you will not use the next step, i.e. window add event listener. Instead, we would have used the chart render.js directly. The chart underscore render.js in turn relies on chart.js. Hence, both of them are included at the beginning of the file, just like so. Here's how the chart.js works. Chart underscore render.js works. So HTML output. Each time display table is called, once for best scores, once for worst scores, and once for average score, it outputs a new canvas element with a unique ID, e.g. best score chart, worst score chart, or average score chart. So that's each time display table is called, it does this. Okay. Data embedding. For each canvas, the PHP also embeds a small script block directly after it. This script contains the render chart call with the specific chart ID names, labels, and scores, data relevant to that specific table data. Chart underscore render.js external logic. Your chart underscore render.js from which file which should be loaded on the page, e.g. via page requires the JS like so, right? This is how it loads it. You put it at the bottom, put it at the top. So it's loaded. Contains the actual definition of the render chart function. As the video will show, the chart underscore render is actually open source and well documented for all of us to use. Please visit the link here. Okay, so I'm going to open a new so you can see. So you see, this is how it's used to create a chart from this link here. Okay, so let's go back. So if you need to edit in the template code, i.e. the template code is 11 and 12, line 11 and 12, i.e. the label and data values are shown in the snippet. Labels, scores, and data. Okay, so that's what we when we get there. Well, this is 11 and 12 right there. Okay, so I think it's speaking of here. So that's where everything is. Matter of fact, this is where the data is put. This is where the labels are. Okay, so all you would need to edit template code there, okay, to see the difference. Of course, you can edit anything else as you see fit. For example, you might not want bars but lines instead of pie. Instead of you want a pie and want to change the color of the chart, then you can do all of that when you're editing directly in that code, okay. So that's it for this part. The next part we'll go on to 4a, and we'll now continue there. In the meantime, if you have any comments or if you feel some parts are not clear, comment in the comment section. If you are already registered and enrolled in a course discussing your forums, your discussion groups, and we'll take it from there. Once again, if you're not yet subscribed to our channel, subscribe, like, share, and comment down below so we can get some more participation and clarity and become experts at Moodle APIs. Okay, so thank you for this one, and I'll see you in the next one.